Welcome to The Current by TreasureCoast.com, where we discuss interesting people, places, and happenings on Florida's Treasure Coast.
He's really good. But yeah, I was always thinking of a really cool name to do. And, when I started doing the food reviews, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do Baldi Eats. And it just stuck. And we did the logo and everything. And we've really just taken off from there. So,
That's awesome. How did you get into it? Because I know, and you can talk too about your.
yeah.
We can kind of get right into it. We can talk about your day to day routine. But how did you get into what you're doing now with the food reviews? Is it just kind of like a passion thing, or did you connect with local
Yeah.
restaurants and they wanted you in there? Or how'd that work?
So, great question. So, I'm actually from down south, South Florida. And what's funny, that's where my business still is. And I'm originally from Brooklyn, but I moved to South Florida as a kid. And growing up, we've always, been known to have a great food scene in South Florida. No one ever complains about, the food, the restaurants in Fort Lauderdale or Miami or anything like that. So slowly, then I moved to, West Palm. I lived in the Wellington area and a couple of areas around there. And again, no one ever says anything. Obviously, they don't say, oh, it's the same as New York food. But when I moved to the Treasure Coast about 4 years ago, give or take, 4.5 years ago, all I kept hearing on the Facebook groups or just around, oh, Port St. Lucie, all the food is crap, or there's no good food, or, people would ask, where's a good this or that? Now, of course, you have people that would say, oh, this place is great or that place is great. But it was always going back to, oh, to get good food, you got to either go to New York or, oh, we travel back down to Palm Beach to get good food. So I said,
Right.
you know what? I've always been a foodie. I've always eaten at nice restaurants and, really stuff like that. And I always knew I was going to do some form of food reviews, but I never knew how I was going to do it. Or, how when you want to do something and you just always make an excuse. So, right at that point, I literally one day said, you know what? It's time. It's time. I went out and I just started going to restaurants and local spots. And I would always have one of my kids as the cameraman early on, and we would just film my experience. And we quickly would cut it, edit it, and then put it out there. And what's funny, I've only been doing this for about a year and 3 months, and it is absolutely blown up, man.
Yeah,
Now I get requested almost on a daily basis. So
I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, that's crazy. I can't believe it's only been just over a year.
it's
Because yeah,
been
you built
over
up
a
quite a
year.
following, and you've also
Absolutely.
one of the things that I like about your I guess your mo is that you go to a lot of restaurants that a lot of people wouldn't really think of, and I think that's a big thing, especially in Port St. Lucie. You don't have that as much. If you go to like
Yeah.
Stewart or Fort Pierce or Vero, you don't have this as much, but in Port St. Lucie especially, there's a lot of places people just don't realize they're there, especially
Yes.
with different ethnicities or different types
Yes.
of cuisines that are global that are
Yes.
available there. But I'm interested in your thoughts on all that because I know you've been all over the Treasure Coast.
Great question. That's actually an underrated question because I listen, there's always going to be negativity when you put yourself out there in the public. But unlike others, and this may sound funny, I love both positive feedback, but I also love the negative feedback because it
Yeah,
actually motivates me. And I don't listen, people are always going to be keyboard warriors and all that. But to answer your question, one of the most popular things that I get from either local moms or women in general, believe it or not, is thank you so much for going into the place. Because, I always do my little 360 view. So I'm going to show you everything. So you really get a cool view of the interior when I do every single video. I keep the same format. But they basically said, I was nervous. I don't think necessarily in a safety way, but I would say, even just in your head, like you said, sometimes we as people, we're not going to walk into an unfamiliar territory. And they basically say, thank you so much, because until you open the door where I can kind of
Hmm.
see inside, no, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying it's a safety thing, but I would have never known, what was there. It's almost like, a familiarity thing. You
Yeah.
never know until you finally maybe see someone else do it or try that food or walk into that restaurant. But yeah, I get a lot of people that thank me and say, wow, I never had the guts to walk in there, but you did, Baldy. So yeah, I just love when I'm invited to new places. Or, on my travels, I happen to just walk into a place or I see a cool place, walk in there, and even a lot of my reviews, even though most of them are requested, I still do a lot of impromptu, walk in fresh, got the camera going, and boom, we try the food. But yeah, man, it's been crazy. I love it. Um, I've definitely turned into. I always joke with people because I don't want to sound like I'm anything special. At the end of the day, I'm a food reviewer and I'm a foodie that has really, and it was unexpected, that has a really unique relationship with the restaurant, as well as the people that follow me. So
Hmm.
it's turned into a love project. But yeah, I always joke. I'm the number one food reviewer by far in the Treasure Coast, and it's not even close. And I joke because I'm probably the only one that does it on a on a consistent basis. But yeah, man,
Right.
it's a lot of fun. Absolutely.
So what do you think that's a really good point where
Yeah.
there are so many places that I drive by on a daily basis. And
Yeah.
you look at them, you see them, you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting, that's cool. But you kind of end up going to the places that are like comfortable, or
Yeah.
you're like, oh, where
Yeah.
should we try? Oh, we could think about places we want to try, but I mean, there's those two places we like to go, and so I'm sure there's a lot of people that watch like a video you do, and they go, oh wow, look, he went to that place. Oh look what they got. Oh, that's cool. Look what it looks like inside. And you
Yeah.
have a little bit better glimpse than like just the,
Yeah.
when you're driving by the road and you see the sign, or, you see their advertisement somewhere. So that's
Oh
interesting.
man.
I mean, what are your most surprising? Have there been places where you've been really surprised either by the food or the atmosphere, or the employees or ownership?
Yeah. So what's so funny? I'm looking at my phone right now. I do so many reviews, and this is actually going to be hilarious. I forget so much of what I've done
Mm-hmm.
because I'm literally pumping out reviews almost every other day. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
every other day consistently. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Okay, so to answer that question, and yes, you're absolutely right. People always say, "Oh, Baldy, you're going to run out of places to eat." Do
Yeah.
you realize how many restaurants, whether they're a small mom and pop, medium, or whatever, there's got to be, and this is probably way lowballing it, 5, 6, 7,000 restaurants in the
Mhm.
Treasure Coast. And here's the best part. Not the best part that places are closing every day, but the
Mhm.
craziest part is that brand new restaurants are literally opening every single day. But okay, man, I have been so damn surprised. Can I say that?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and I had to come prepared because I don't remember so many.
I get it. I get it.
Okay, you ready? One of my favorite ones that I was truly surprised. There's a place called Flavor Barbecue in
Mhm.
Fort Pierce, and
Yep.
they do a candied oxtail that is out of this world. Sometimes my favorite part, by the way, is when I taste something, I'm getting that first reaction on camera. So just as I'm processing it, the viewer is getting to see that as well. And that was one of the things that knocked my socks off. So yummy! It was the candied oxtail, and he's an award-winning chef. And you would never know this in a million years unless you walked in there, talked to the chef, and everything. They've won awards in Georgia for their barbecue. So again, this
Wow.
little tiny spot in Fort Pierce, unless you were willing to go out there and explore, you would never know. Okay, another crazy one, and I'm sure you've heard of him, my boy Scott at High on the Hog Barbecue. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, I have. I
So
have.
here's what's funny about Scott. Scott doesn't have the most beautiful or brand new food truck. But what he doesn't have in the food truck, it's still obviously a nice food truck and everything. He is, time and time again, one of the most popular and hardworking food trucks that is out there. And some do call him the best barbecue, definitely best barbecue food truck out there, period. But again, another guy that you would never know of. You see this small little older food truck that he's literally cooking up some amazing things, and he's such a great guy. And he's actually one of the most popular places that you would never know about unless you're willing to go out of your comfort zone, go to the little
Yeah.
food truck. He's there pretty much every single day in Fort Pierce, and he's killing it. And I just want to say, rest in peace, unfortunately, to his guy that worked on the truck for many years. Unfortunately, he just passed. But yeah, Scott at High on the Hog is definitely one of those ones where you taste it and you're so surprised. And one last one, and you can ask me any other question because
Yeah.
I have my notes. I have my notes, aka all my videos, right in front of me.
Yeah.
So I have my cheat code right in front of me. But people always ask us, what's the number one rated pizza? People want the best pizza, New York, New York. People want the best pizza and the best wings. My number one rated pizza, argue it as they may, is a place called Uncle Giuseppe's, Little Bit of Brooklyn and Stewart,
Wow.
is still my number one rated pizza. The owner is they're straight Italian, the whole family, but they lived in Brooklyn for many, many years and then literally opened up a shop in Stewart, Florida, and they're killing it. You probably know about it. That's your neck of the woods.
I was there. It's so crazy you said that because I actually just took my daughter there for a little date night last week.
Oh.
And I just was trying them out because, my wife, she worked at Carmela's in Stewart for a long time. So we did Carmela's, we liked Anna's, we like Downtown Benny's, Fantini's is right over. I mean, there's a ton of great pizza. If we went to Chicago, my buddy at Ian and Kai's here in Jensen does like the Chicago style. So, I mean, like it is, like you said, people can argue it because there are so many different tastes and flavors.
They always will, man.
but yeah, man, that was it. It was really good. The ambiance. Cool. It was very kind of like, it felt very, I'm not sure the word. It felt, I felt like, I was in like Little Italy type of thing.
Absolutely.
It was cool.
Absolutely. Did you try the pizza?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was good.
What'd you think?
It was great. I thought it was awesome. People are gonna fight me more than they're gonna argue the pizza, because to me, I love pizza, but a lot of times it's harder for me to tell the difference unless I'm going from like Chicago style to like, if we're going from like a grandma to like a Neapolitan style or whatever, if you're switching it up, then okay, it's different. But if I'm going to test 10 cheese pizzas, let's say, or 10 pepperoni, if it's the same style, I love pizza. Right. It's going to be good. I'm going to like it. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Absolutely. Well, that's why you need me, Josh. Okay,
that's why you're here and point us in the right direction.
Yeah. What's funny, I could taste 10 different pizzas and literally understand the texture, the taste, the cheese, the sauce, and I promise you, we're going to get 10 different scores on every single similar. Might look similar, feel similar, and everything. But yeah, that's a passion of mine. I love reviewing the pizzas. I think that's actually one of my funnest things because, like we said, people are passionate about their pizzas. They love their pizza. And you might have one person where you've gone to whatever, your local place for 30 years, and you claim that's the best pizza in the world. But hey, that's the one you've been going to. So sometimes you need I'm not saying I'm the end all be all, because I tell everybody it's just my opinion. I'm only giving my opinion, and ultimately, I want them to go there and really give their opinion and at least get out of their comfort zone. Try some of
Yeah.
the other places. But at the end of the day, the bigger picture, it's really all about supporting small businesses and supporting and trying these mom and pop restaurants. And that's really the best thing that I get to do. But shout out to Ian and Kai's. You mentioned them.
Oh yeah.
Some of the best wings. The garlic
Right.
parm
Right.
wings is right up there with some of the best wings you can get in the Treasure Coast, in my opinion.
I I totally agree, and I'm with you there on the small business side of things. My
Hmm.
background was in restaurants. I used to work with my younger brother, who actually my younger brother is a Spiros. He works at, he's a Spiros franchisee. So
Oh,
I'm sure
okay.
you've been in those their Greek restaurants, and
Yeah.
so I'm very privy to the fact that like a lot of restaurants, kind of like you touched on before, unfortunately there is a lot of turnover in that industry, and a lot of times
Yes.
it's probably for the fact that they can't get the word out or not enough people are trying it. They might have the very best
Yeah.
pizza, salad,
Yeah.
wings, whatever it is that you're looking for, sandwiches, but maybe
Yeah.
they're not getting that exposure. And so
Yeah.
I totally hear you on that regard, where you can go out to someone who's open, or they might not, you know, they're not going to afford a full page ad in the, the
100%.
newspaper, but
And
they
that's
want to get the word out.
past now. That doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
Now it's all
right.
about social media,
Right. Yeah.
you know? So, it's a huge opportunity for restaurants. It's a great opportunity for me. I'm definitely growing on a daily basis. But yeah, at the end of the day, what I thought was just going to be me trying foods and the viewers enjoying it and then going out to try it themselves, it's really turned into um, just the restaurants love it just as well. And I didn't realize when I first started how huge of an impact these reviews have been for the restaurants as well. So, I mean, we're talking about for small businesses, I've heard feedback. One review can generate thousands and thousands of dollars worth of revenue that I've been able to, bring them and help them out with. So, yeah.
That, that's awesome. And I'm sure that it's fitting it in to your, because like we were talking about this, I think this probably was
Yeah.
before the recording, but you're in countertops. That's where you're at now. You're in your, your back
Yes. Yeah.
office, and trying to fit
I'm in my
that in.
business.
You've got the
Yeah.
countertop business that you've been doing for a long time, trying to fit the
Yeah.
food reviews and the passion in that
Yes.
way, and kind of make sure it fits
Yes.
a daily basis. But that's cool that you've
Yeah.
got that hobby that also is it a business at this point, or are these reviews, are they monetized? I'm sure people would ask that.
They do ask that. And that's actually been a very controversial subject. But I am very, very open. And I have no problem telling, yes, it's a business. It is turned into a big business, and I'll tell you why. I don't charge for my reviews, but I charge for my time. So you have to remember that I'm invited on a daily basis by all different restaurants. And when I first was building my platform and really starting out, I was just, and I nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew, oh, this guy's pulling out, he has a camera person with a cell phone. He's nobody. And again, I'm not saying I'm anybody special, but in the beginning, when I was walking in all these restaurants, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars to literally get my content and put it out there. So now that I've been doing it for so long, and restaurants do want me, listen, we've had to figure out a system, or I'm going to go broke, and then the the videos stop anyway. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making a killing doing it. I don't want anybody to think that. I do pay my camera person. I do pay to get my videos edited. But with that being said, yes, I do charge for my time in a lot of instances. And I have no problem. I'm open with telling people that. But I've had restaurants that have said, hey, Baldy, between you and I, could we pay you for a good review? No. My reviews are real and authentic. That is never going to happen. But if you pay me to come in and spend my time, we'll do the review, we'll have a great time. But the first thing I say, and every single restaurant can attest to this, um, I'm going to give my review based on what I'm feeling and what I'm, tasting. That's not going to change because at the end of the day, I am reviewing the food. Now, if you watch my videos, I do veer more on the positive side. I'm just never going to be the guy that is going to trash small businesses. I have no interest doing that. And honestly, if people want to see me do that, and they want to see me tear down restaurants if I'm not loving something, it's all in the score. I don't have to make a spectacle out of it. So I always tell people, listen, if you don't like my videos, don't watch them. But since I've been doing this, it's been a blast. It's been the time of my life. I could never imagine how big this would have gotten and how the trajectory of where it's going. But my videos have accumulated over 10 million views total on all my platforms. So that
That's
kind of tells
awesome.
you right there. People are
Do,
loving it. They're enjoying it. Yeah.
do you have a favorite area that you go to where you kind of like to, I mean, is there a specific area that you think is kind of either has like a good base of variations of restaurants or like up and coming?
That's a great question. So I know everybody would have a specific answer to that. I'm going to say something that's going to sound really funny. I'm horrible with direction. And I think a lot of us are moving in that direction. I take my GPS everywhere. So to be honest with me, even me going to a unique new place of either Port St. Lucie or Jensen Beach, I'm always like, wow, this is beautiful. I act like I've never been there before, and I've probably been there 20 times. I'll be honest, I'm a firm believer that, of course, where you open up a restaurant, depending on the traffic, depending on a lot of different areas, is going to mean either more success or unfortunately less success. However, I'm still a firm believer that if you're a great restaurant and you have amazing food, you can open up anywhere. But no, there's some beautiful spots, man. I love Stewart. I love Jensen Beach. I love a lot of the southern levels of the Treasure Coast. But I'm surprised every day, man. I think Vero is really cool. I think Vero is super up and coming. I also get called down to Palm Beach a lot, by the way. I'm always in West Palm now doing reviews. So you guys are going to start. I've done a lot, but that's really growing in my repertoire as well. But I'll always have a special place for the Treasure Coast because I really feel like no one, and I'm not talking about you. There's some people doing great things. Obviously, you're killing it with what you're doing at treasurecoast.com and you giving people such a great platform to be able to search different restaurants and stuff like that. And your Facebook groups, I love your Facebook groups. They're very, very powerful at getting out the word. And I love posting my stuff on there because I might have a video that it's already going to get 20,000 views, but me posting it on Port St. Lucie News and Community sometimes will double that or more and get me up to 40,000 views, 50,000 views so more people could see it. Um, but yeah, with that being said, um, you know, I love the fact that, I lost my train of thought. Where were we going?
We were talking about specific
Yeah.
areas. You thought that Vero was up and coming. You like
Yeah.
some of the southern
Yeah.
areas as well. Have
Yes.
you been much to Hope Sound?
Yes, I've been a good amount of times. Oh, but I remember what I was saying. Let me go back.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Pick
saying,
up where we left off.
I love the Treasure Coast because no one, and I veered off too much by saying how you're representing. I see a lot with a couple of the other vloggers that do really cool location spots and stuff like that, which I love as well. But the reason why I love Treasure Coast, as far as the food review scene, is because no one out there is really representing for the Treasure Coast. Because when you start to head down south, food reviewers, there's got to be at least 20, 30, whatever. But
Right.
in the Treasure Coast, who's consistently representing restaurants, maybe me and I don't know, maybe there's one other or two other people doing it. So what I
Yeah,
was saying, Treasure Coast will always have, uh, I love it because I hate to say it, I was the first to do it, the food reviews on a large scale representing hundreds of different restaurants. So in a food review format, not taking away what people like you and other people have been doing in other avenues of the internet, So,
certainly. No, certainly, because I think you're right. I mean, I, there are people in different niches too. Like we had Crystal Treasure Coast Mom on, and
yes,
we've
yeah,
used her stuff a lot
I
for
love her.
we've got three
Yeah,
young kids, so it's like there's so many
right,
different
right.
niches. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. For us,
Yeah,
okay, great. We like to have restaurants. We businesses will come in, they add their listings to our directory.
yeah,
But I do think we cast a wider net, whereas there are a lot of people who find these niches. Because I know there's a website, Treasure Coast Foodie, I think it was, but I don't think that they do
yeah,
videos. I think it's more of a website listing,
yeah,
review, almost like a Yelp kind of thing, which is
yeah.
cool. But I think that's how you've
It is.
added your
It's
own
great.
value, um, is having those videos. And I think you're
Yes,
right. It's like
everything is digital,
I'm
man.
thinking
Yeah.
about it now. Like there's no shortage. You think about the different areas that you can go to. There's endless criteria or endless content on the Treasure Coast.
You know more than anybody. We're all the way up to Sebastian, and we get to go all the way down pretty much Jupiter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say
Jupiter is
county line is
technically,
around. Yeah, that
yeah,
Tequesta, Jupiter area. It kind of depends who you
yeah,
talk to, because Martin County, the county line's right there. But
right,
then even just south, I mean, you've got the
right,
village of Tequesta. You've got,
yeah,
I think once you pass like Du Bois, once you pass the Abacoa, you're definitely in,
yeah,
Palm Beach County territory.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love it though, man. It's so much fun. Um, we're the fat. I feel like, and I've read this, and you can confirm whether you think it's true as well. Port St. Lucie alone is one of the fastest growing cities pretty much out there. I mean, they're
Hmm.
comparing it to a smaller but growing faster than almost what Miami would have been 20, maybe 30, whatever it is, 40 years ago. So,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And whether people like it or not, we're growing as a community and in the Treasure Coast in general at a fast pace. And it's not going to stop no matter how much of the old school say, oh, stay out of, they always say, oh, go back to here, go back to there. No, man, we're growing at a fast rate. You're either going to accept it or, you're going to move on yourself, so.
No, I know what you mean. It has been, Port St. Lucie has been one of the top 4 or 5 fastest growing cities in America for, I think it's been a few years now. And
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
crazy.
You could probably you could literally probably, you probably have enough content just in Tradition or St. Lucie West and some of those new developments out there, all the
Don't ask
restaurants
me
that have
for
been
it.
coming up there, let
Yeah.
alone if I mean, you brought up Sebastian. I think Sebastian as well, probably
Yeah.
those polar ends, Sebastian and Hope Sound, I think are the most overlooked areas, like
Yeah.
where they're gorgeous.
Yes.
They've got a ton of great food. They've got cool things to do in their own
Love it.
right. And people
Yeah.
don't really look too much into them. Um,
By the way, shout out to Vero Beach. Vero Beach alone has enough restaurants and up and coming stuff that they're going to be keeping me busy for a long time. But yeah, man,
for sure.
Port St. Lucie, I kind of look at, we're kind of the centralized. I live in Port St. Lucie, so we're kind of the central hub, and then you could kind of branch right around it to all the other cities. Of course, Fort Pierce and Jensen is beautiful, and the type of culture that's down there. I know, that's your neck of the woods. Stewart, you got all the water life and everything down there. But yeah, man, there's so many great restaurants. When I first started, I didn't even have it. I didn't even understand. I'm probably so off by saying there's 5,000. There might be 10 or 20,000 restaurants in the Treasure Coast, and they're opening new ones every day. So
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. And that's why you're here.
Yeah. That's why I'm here, man.
Well,
So,
where can people, because we're pulling up just past 30 minutes, where can people, do you want to drop some info about you and where people can
yeah,
find you, where they can follow you, any hot tips that you think you want to drop that we didn't touch on? I know we just kind of riffed.
We did. And if you have any other questions, anything last, questions they have for me, I'll be happy to answer. Highest rated wings. Everybody asks for the wings. Thirsty Turtle, baby. Highest rated wings, Thirsty Turtle. I love them. Amazing. And no, they didn't pay me to say that. Okay. No. I'm just kidding. By the way, you can find me on all my platforms. Facebook. Facebook is so underrated, man. Facebook is so underrated, and I know we're about to go over. I love Facebook. When food reviewers start and they grow big, they've never built on Facebook the way I see the value in Facebook. And I'm not, oh, I built it. No. I'm being honest. Every big food reviewer that I follow, they never saw the value in Facebook like I do. And I'm a firm believer that Facebook viewers, you start to get a little bit older. I'm not saying old, but I'm saying a little bit of the more experienced generation. Those are the people with the money that are going out there and actually eating at your restaurant. So I love when people follow me on Facebook. I have people that stop me all the time. And it's so funny. I have my three categories of fans. My older people, which I love, hey, I follow you on Facebook. The medium tier, hey, I follow you on Instagram. And then my youngins, the young kids, hey, I follow you on TikTok. I love all three, so it's all good.
Yeah,
Baldi
that's
Eats,
awesome.
Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and YouTube. We're growing really fast on YouTube as well. But yeah, man, I love it. And it's a passion of mine. And it's really turned into already something that I couldn't have imagined how fast we're growing and how many people are watching the videos on all the platforms and stuff like that. So
I love it, man. We'll tag you and include the links when we post it. And hey, I hope everybody here will follow you and will check out some of your new and past posts and look at a small business, look at a restaurant that you think might fit your needs 100%. And try something new. Go out and support them. You never know who these people are. There are neighbors, there are small businesses. Yes. Let's support them. Let's make sure they're successful. And we all win in that regard.
That's what it's all about. Support mom and pop restaurants. At the end of the day, man, go try something that you've never tried before. If you've driven by this place, there's so many places. By the way, a new place that just opened, Mia's Italian Market in Port St. Lucie. They've been doing the tradition marketplace for years. They saved up all their money, just put everything. It's a family business. They have the rice balls. That's one of the highest things I've ever rated. I think I gave them a 9.5 or something like that. Support small businesses. That's what it's all about, man. Go out there and explore. At the end of the day, when you're going to spend money to go out and eat anyway, try a place maybe that you've never tried before, so.
That's awesome. I think that's a good way to end it. And I really, Baldi, I appreciate you being here. It was awesome talking with you. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. Send me the link. We could do it anytime you want, man. It's a blast. And I just got one more thing to say. Baldi out.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
That's a wrap for this episode of The Current by TreasureCoast.com. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Follow us on social media or visit TreasureCoast.com for local events, tips, and news. Have a guest or topic you'd love to hear on the show? Let us know at TreasureCoast.com. Until next time, keep riding the current and enjoying everything the Treasure Coast has to offer. See you soon.